Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Very good. Well, many thanks, Renee and the Visual K team. Hi everyone. I'm very excited and thrilled to be here and to give you some facts and great news regarding Infor. Um, Unfortunately, we cannot have a face-to-face meeting, and I guess everyone is not only aware, is in favor of this. It's not a good time to sit very close together. But I'm looking forward that we can repeat this very soon and meet many of you face to face. So quickly about me, I'm now for plus 15 years with Infor in different positions at a corporate level and in Latin America. And before this, I was in a couple of companies working in IT and being CIO in national and international companies, meaning I have implemented a lot of systems, including Infor systems in my previous lives. Uh, and as you can imagine, I'm talking plus 15 years ago, this was much harder to integrate the system, going to the next version, um, getting the support. So all of this is, of course, nowadays much more exciting, and with the digital transformation, um, even better. But yeah, I have done all of these things in my past life as well. So this is just quickly about me, who I am. If you can move to the next slide, Winnie, please. Okay, so for those who do not know Infor, we have worldwide plus 68,000 customers and already more than 10,000 in the cloud. So why is this important for you, and what is the exciting part about this? A, that we are a leading company for cloud industry vertical specific solutions. And we have, in fact, customers who are purely on the cloud or on-prem. On-prem meaning they still using the local server in the local environment and have not moved to the cloud yet. And we do have customers that are using our applications. Part of is in the cloud and part is on-prem, meaning they're using a hybrid model. And so this is important, because meaning that you have the freedom to decide in which pace you want to move forward, and what part of the solution you want to move to the cloud and what not, or if you want actually to stay um, on-prem and making the decision moving forward once you feel comfortable to migrate to the cloud, and doing it in a pretty seamless way. And one of my last business trips, as you can imagine, I'm working now from home as well. But just 3 weeks ago, I was in an event in Colombia where a customer testimonial actually made the point and said to the audience that they were a long-time customer with Infor. They still are a long-time customer with us, and they moved from version to version to the last version on-prem, and then they decided to go to the cloud. And they did this on a weekend. Of course, the data migration takes more time in advance to move all of this to the cloud. But from an end user perspective, and this was really the exciting point here, the end user logged out on a Friday afternoon, and when they went to the office on Monday morning and clicked on the same icon, they were in the cloud, and they didn't even realize that they were in the cloud. So absolutely seamless, no disruption from the customer perspective, and very nice part of this. The other thing that I want to remark here is cloud is not cloud. What I mean by this is they are a lot of companies out that are selling their solutions as a cloud solution, which we would call, as we did 20, 30 years ago, application hosting. Meaning I'm taking your specific environment with your application, with your modifications, all of this. I'm taking this just to my server, and now I'm doing application hosting for you. And the real big savings is when you work on a multi-tenant environment, but many companies do not have the has not been technology evolved in this way that they really have the same application that you're running today on-prem is available in multi-tenant. So this is a very important step forward, and Infor has been the visionary for plus a decade now, where we started to realize that the 10 years plus 10 years ago that there is the future. So we have developed our the newest versions of our solutions in the same way, cloud versus on-prem. Brings me back to the first example. This is why they could do this really seamless, because it's equal, it's the same application. And so this multi-tenant concept this is where the money is hidden, meaning where the savings are. So just one and a half months ago, I was at an event in Brazil where a customer moved from on-prem to the cloud. They actually did an upgrade to the next version, but interesting enough is when the VP of operations made their speech as a testimonial, they clarified that all the additional benefits that they get through the cloud and the additional functionality for them are nice add-ons. The purely business justification, the ROI justification, was done by the fact to move to the cloud. So all the cost savings that they could see operationally, having a multi-tenant solutions running in a cloud were good enough reasons. So how we could do all of this was a lot of investment, of course. So doing this, moving all of these software over. The good thing is we have as well acquired companies. They were actually born in the cloud, like Burst. They have started to set up their environments in the cloud. So for them, it's since day one, it's natural to work in a multi-tenant environment. But for a lot of other systems on the ERP side, etc., we had to do this investment, and this is important that we are not on the stock market. We have not been, and we will not be. So we have private investors, and they have injected over the last couple of years a total of $4 billion. Where our global head of development said this at the Inforum. If a couple of you maybe have been at Inforum, he said it in a nice way with a smile in his face that he has spent already all of it. So what does this mean? That we really have heavily invested in this, in the cloud and last mile functionality for specific verticals, and I'm coming to this point later on. But that's important because this investment, and that we have that the company is healthy, that we are cash positive, that we have investors behind that have a long-term thinking, and the spirit of investing in technology is of course a very important point, and has allowed this to help our customer in this way of doing so. So coming now what René said in the beginning to the point, who is Koch? So if you can go to the next slide, please, René. Thank you. So Koch was already in the past a investor of Infor. So they had already shares within the company, a lot of shares. But here is the interesting one. First of all, nowadays they have now decided to acquire 100%. And why is this so exciting? And so when I learned this news, I got really emotional about this, being for this company for such a long time and very committed, of course. There is no better proof point. I mean, Koch Industries is a huge company, $110 billion revenue, private held company. It's the second largest one in the US. Only Cargill is still bigger from a private perspective. So same as our previous owners, Koch is a private held company, and they are very much investing in technology and in transforming into digital platforms. And so what they do historically and moving forward, they are investing around about 90% of their earnings. They're investing this back into the business. And so there is, of course, a lot of exciting things for us in as well moving forward. But really the main exciting point here is Koch, as I said, $110 billion revenue. they own companies, so subsidiaries of Koch by itself are giants like Georgia Pacific, one of the biggest pulp and paper company in the world, long time Infor customer. And so they are using our software in many countries worldwide and moved from version to version. And a couple of years ago, they made the decision to move to the cloud, multi-tenant. And they did. So after all of this long-term relationship moving to multi-tenant cloud, that after this, Koch then decided, yes, we want to move forward and we want to fully acquire Infor. That's the best proof point that they see that Infor has not only the right vision that we can execute on what we are doing here. Next slide, please, Rene.
Yeah, and Volker, just a quick question here.
Sure.
Would you say that Koch Industries is going, they're basically following that, Industry 4.0 vision, and that's part of why they executed on Infor, and also if I am a customer of Infor today, I mean, what can I expect, and why is this wonderful news to me?
Very good questions. The first one regarding Industry 4.0, yes, of course, they are a leading company in this area as well, and this is one of the reasons why they are investing in Infor. But most important one, and it's a very valid point, what is in for me as a customer? So the first important point, I guess, is stability. Not only in this difficult time right now with the coronavirus, generally speaking, that I do have really a huge company which is not on the stock market. I really have a company now, a private held company that owns Infor, meaning that my long-term strategy is actually secured. So I, as a customer, I can see that there will be future investment, since this is the strategy of Koch, that they are investing in. Infor, of course, will continue to invest not only on enhancing current solutions, as well as listen to our customers and to see what additional solutions are required, so that we will continue to acquire their other companies as well in specific industries that are helping to fill a gap in some of those. So this is the important one, is really the stability, that I can working on a solid way moving forward. And secondly, I do have actually very good proof points here that Koch has done this. They have, maybe some of the people in the audience, they're working for multinational companies as well. So for them, it's important to see that the multinational company works, so that really there is a good proof point regarding Koch as well. Does this answer your question, Rene? Okay, perfect, good. So here is just an example. As you can see, and I should have added this as well in my last comments here. Koch, of course, they are in so many different verticals and industry verticals that Flint Hills was another one that Rene mentioned before, which is a Koch company as well. So they are in all of these different verticals. This just shows you, of course, this is not Koch here, a variety of our customers to illustrate in the verticals in which we are in. And this actually brings me to the next slide. If you can move me over there, perfect. So here is the other very important differentiator that I scratched before a little bit, and this is industry specific solutions. So what we have developed are the Infor Cloud Suites, and what you see in each of these 12 different sets are industry specific solutions and industry specific accelerators. And so why is this important? Because Infor's approach is not having a one monolithic backbone system that does everything from healthcare, hospitality through automotive. It is really focused on industry-specific solutions. So starting even with the ERP, it's not the same ERP backbone which is in all of these 12 verticals or cloud suite solutions. They are not all the same because you have completely different requirements if you're working in um, for a healthcare company and an automotive company or in a food and beverage company or in an energy company. So all of these are different solutions starting with the ERP, but then you have, of course, a combination of add-on products, what we call edge products, that are very much related to your industry. So a good example is product lifecycle management. We do have, of course, product lifecycle management. I should not say of course, but we do have. But product lifecycle management is completely different from a functionality and requirement perspective in fashion, high tech, and automotive. So we do have actually two different PLM solutions because they are different requirements. And just having one monolithic systems where we would force you to implement things that it's really not relevant for your industry, but you need to do this to keep the system happy or consistent, is not a good approach, and it would extend your cost of implementation and total cost of ownership, of course. So what we do have is and this is the important part, is really industry sub-vertical specific solutions with last mile functionality. Meaning, when you go in any of these verticals, we do have the functionality that it's for this sub-vertical absolutely key and a hard requirement. And so since this is embedded and included, you don't need to have a lot of workaround. The second very important part here is that you have all of these edge products. They are very important in all of these industries, but maybe not for you in one. And one reason could be because you have already one of these edge products, so we would not force you to, in a big bang approach, replacing this, because you are making the decision what you integrate and what you don't integrate. Our solution, the foundation of our solutions are actually built that the customer is making this choice and the decision when they want to move forward with something, when there is a low-hanging fruit and a good ROI behind the scenes, and not just because they have to. So this is an important one. You have really the freedom to move forward, not only on-prem or multi-tenant, or when you move from on-prem to multi-tenant, you have the choice to see on these add-on products when you want to engage this with our ERP system, or the other way around. We have a lot of customers that are using an ERP system which is not ours, but they're using add-on products. EAM is a great example. EAM is integrated with so many different ERP systems, WMS, supply chain management, you name it, burst. All of these companies that we acquired, they have not only survived standalone, they were and they are leaders in their specific segment and the solution segment. And they could not have done this if their integration to other systems would not be nearly seamless, very easy to do so. So this together with the Infor Foundation, and we will hear later on more about Infor OS, it gives you the capability to really decide where you want to go into the details.
And Volker, I hear a lot of good things about the cloud suites, but I believe I heard a lot of good information about the implementation accelerators. I think that becomes critical, right? Because it's not only the solution of the cloud, but it's how the implementation goes, and then not only the implementation accelerators, but there's also a process manager and process intelligence. I believe that's one of the key differentiators from Infor, right? It's not only the software, but then the ability to implement really fast and really efficient.
Absolutely, Renee, absolutely. And not only Infor, you as a partner are the greatest example here when we see the initiatives on power gen. I mean, what you have and what Infor has as well, or what we have combined is many years of experience in these specific verticals where we feel at home. And so based on this, we were able to develop all of these best practices that are embedded in the accelerators. And the accelerators by itself helps you to make the whole implementation faster, easier, important, as well, staying with best practice and not developing a monster that later on you cannot really migrate to the next versions if you're on-prem. So the accelerators, so the focus here is that when you go forward with one of these solutions, you implement what is important for your industry. You don't have to implement or worried about anything else, because this is not even part of the solution. It's not a monolithic system. You decide from a module perspective the path when you want to do this, and during this journey maybe you will change your mind and decide to not implement something from us, or whatever you decide, but it's your decision. And together with the accelerators, you are even going to a faster implementation time, due to the things that we just mentioned. Okay. So then in summary, which I nearly really did already. So in summary, really the takeaways here are: we have heavily developed in last mile functionality, and we still do this, and this could be through add-on applications or functionality within our solutions. Secondly, on again, huge investments in the digital platform. So we are one of the leading companies in multi-cloud. I need to insist on this point, in multi-cloud solution. Multi-tenant solution, plus the option that you actually decide based on our open API architecture which portion or which part of our edge products you are including, or the other way around, that you stay with a different ERP backbone, but taking then thanks to this open API architecture, you are integrating this with one of our edge products. And last but not least, the time to value. So the accelerators where we have and we continue to heavily invest in, that keeps you in the best practice. You've heard about this before, the 60-30-10 approach, meaning that if you stay in the standard, most of this, you just take standard processes forward from us, like an order to cash cycle. But during this review, you quickly analyze where you are outside of the standard. So maybe this is just a document that needs to be adapted, or an interface. That should be roughly another 30%. And then finally, 10% is really which makes you unique. And this is, of course, where you and we together will invest time, so that you are stay ahead of your competitor and doing specific things that really makes you unique and you want to keep in. But the 60-30 reduces extremely the whole implementation cycle. And again, Rene was the example on the initiative of PowerGen is a very good example here. Okay,
Yeah,
and having
and I
this said,
think Volker mentioned that, and sorry to interrupt, but I think the value to the customers, it's really large and very, very palpable, because you're not only able to implement faster, but you, like you said, you're implementing faster using the best practices. And then when you do that, also at the end, if you're able to really, use all the information, then you're able to exploit it with Burst as a business intelligence platform. So it's not only value from an operational standpoint, that obviously it's important, but also from a management KPIs, and really being able to then drive the change that you want to drive, right? Be able to drive to the numbers and to really meet your goals, because the software is configured, but at the same time, we have the visibility from a high level standpoint to be able to then make sure that everybody's driving to the right place.
Exactly. Very good. Okay. Well then, thanks for being here today, Rene. And I hand this back to you.
Thanks, Volker. Appreciate it. So, folks, thank you for being with us today and joining us. as we mentioned today, this is our agenda for today. So we just went over the corporate from Visual K and Infor. We hope that the message came across loud and clear about the industry 4.0, what are the pillars and how you can use that. Obviously, not everybody's going to do everything at the same time, and that's not the idea. But the idea is to be able to then use what we have and really take it to the next level, right? So from that standpoint, Infor offers the tools, it offers the expertise and the help to get there. And obviously, we as Visual K are ready, eager, locked and loaded to go forward and help you guys get there as fast as you can. Okay. And obviously, glad to share today's stories as we go along. Again, if you have any other questions or comments, let us know. We did have a question come in that was about what happens if I use different, let's say, applications. For example, I use an ERP from Infor that's on the cloud, and I use EAM from Infor that's on the cloud. Is that on the same server farm, or how is that distributed? Again, it's not a problem from a customer standpoint, but just as so you know, the way that it works is each application will live in its own server farm, and then it will be connected to IAM. So that allows you the flexibility so you can grow as you need to be able to add or take whatever products you need when you need them. And they will be available, again, with the same implementation accelerators and the ability to go forward. So with that said, folks, thanks again. We're going to go ahead and go on our break. We'll be back at 10:30 to talk about artificial intelligence with Rick Ryder. It's going to be cool. You're going to see and understand what's going on. Rick is going to give us some examples of how the application helps us in that sense. And meanwhile, I'm going to put in a video so you guys can see it, and then we'll come back at 10:30. Thanks, everybody, and glad to join us and glad to have you with us.